I look over this way, it's because my computer is here where I can like see some of the chat messages on Instagram and stuff like that. And let me just pop that over. But quickly, what we're going to be doing today is this is the first Mocktail Monday. So we're going to be doing a mystical mocktail recipe for the moon. We're going to chat a bit about some things I'm creating, classes. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jelena Haddis. I am known for making drink recipes infused with intention, a ritual, a bit of magic. My most recent book was Mystical Mocktails that just came out last week, but a lot of people know me from my first book, Witchcraft Cocktails, that came out in 2020. And I was kind of like I said, I've been wanting to live stream forever, and after doing it this past couple of months just for my Patreon members, I wanted to try offering it a little bit wider for everyone. And so we're going to be trying a couple things. We're going to be maybe doing Mocktail Monday if all of this tech stuff works out. And my goal here was I thought we would try maybe some different non-alcoholic spirits and also try them in a couple of recipes, since I know that can be hard to figure out, and sometimes it's about the recipe you make them in, as well as maybe make recipes that I see online from other people, other creators or blogs or things like that. There's just so many recipes I want to try, and I thought it'd be really fun to do it together. And if you are on Patreon, I'm adding the ability in tonight for you to be able to request that, to request different spirits, recipes, etc. And then I'm thinking at the moment, we'll see how everything goes, maybe doing a second live stream each week, maybe Fridays. I'm still feeling it out, where we do a magical drink recipe of the week. This is usually both cocktail and mocktail options for this one, and they'll just be whatever I'm working on that week. And of course, like obviously if it's some recipes like a matcha recipe, that would be this week. Like there's not a cocktail version of that because it's just a matcha matcha soda drink recipe. But I thought it'd be kind of fun. I love like live streaming and connecting with everyone. Oh, J Love Spooky says gorgeous setup, thank you. I love live streaming. It's a lot of fun to like see everyone live and like spend this time together. So, but I'm still figuring it out. I'm not like the best tech wise. And yeah, so for today, for the inaugural Mocktail Monday, I was like, let's do a recipe from my book, obviously, because that just came out a week ago. And particularly, I was thinking about the moon goddess Colada. I'm still waiting to hear back from my publisher on what recipes it's okay for me to share, because I can't share, you know, the whole book online. But I thought this was perfect because we have the new moon in a week, and it's also the first new moon of 2026. I'm also like totally addicted to this recipe right now. I've had it so many times over the last couple of days, like any excuse to make it. So I thought this would be perfect to share with you guys for the first one. And then starting next Monday, you know, we can take requests for whatever kind of, you know, if there's recipes you want me to try or non-alcoholic spirits you're curious about, we can start throwing those in there. But otherwise, if you see me looking down, I have my notes down here. I talk a lot, I get off track a lot, so I try and keep myself focused with my notes. So, but let's go ahead and talk about the recipe that we are going to be doing. So we're going to be making, oh, this is so freaking delicious, the moon goddess Colada. Let me make sure you can see this. The moon goddess Colada from my book Mystical Mocktails. Let me just hope that Instagram didn't just close on me. I think it did. Give me a second, you guys. Instagram. I'm supposed to be still live. Okay, looks like I am. Okay, wait, give me a second. It's still going, but like I can't. Let's see if I open this. Okay. God darn it, it keeps giving me trouble. Okay, anyway, it's okay. We'll figure out this next time. We got like a couple of tries of doing this for me to figure out exactly how to do the live streaming thing. But anyway, so this is the moon goddess Colada. Um, and this was actually one of the first photos. If you don't know, did all the photography for this book. This is one of the first photos I took for the book, and it's kind of funny. Maybe I'll tell you guys some other times of like the process of like throughout the book, my photography just like got better. So it's funny to see kind of like where I started and be like, I feel like I could, improve upon some things compared to like where I ended. So, um, but it's so gorgeous. It has a couple of different ingredients that we're going to talk about. But basically, for this recipe, so Moon Goddess Colada, and for each recipe, I put like 3 to 4, just generally in my work, whether it's online or in my books, like 3 to 4 themes. So you kind of like know what the drink is about. But for this one in particular was inspired by the way that the moon changes shape, right? Waxing to being in her full luminescence to waning, and then vanishing only to reappear anew. And really just this constant process of, rebirth, glowing, and rest. And I really think of it as like a symbol mystically for, nurturing our spirit, and as part of the process of allowing us to revive our inner light, to constantly renew and rejuvenate and find hope even in times of darkness. And so really it's hope through kind of this transitional process. So inspired by this mystical energy of the moon, particularly for renewal and transitions and hope and spiritual alignment, we have a couple of different ingredients. So we have fresh cucumber, and we're going to make this live together, but just to go over kind of some of the ingredients. And you have a couple of days, but the new moon's like this weekend on Sunday, so you've got a couple of days to get the ingredients if you want to try this recipe yourself. And of course, if you want to make a cocktail version, I'll give you an option for that. But really, it uses cucumber, and the reason is to evoke some of the moon's energy for particularly peace and rejuvenation, because cucumber is associated with the moon. So really finding, right, that peace through transitions and change. And part of that is also refreshing mint to help clear the mind, bring that renewal. Then, of course, Colada, we have coconut milk. Now, coconut is also associated with the moon. It's also just so delicious when you mix it properly, and the hydration and all the benefits of it. But particularly with coconut, we are looking at the properties of the moon for purification, spiritual intuition, things like that, and just really tuning within. Then there's just a tad of grapefruit to really bring some of that citrus purification, but also a little bit of like mood boosting type energy. And then for the, to balance out the sweetness of the recipe, so our sweetener is agave nectar. Of course, you can use whatever you prefer. Just if you're using a varying amount, make sure that you change it for start with less, add more to taste, because once you add it, you can't subtract it. And then for, balancing out the sweetness, we need a little bit of sour, right? And grapefruit doesn't really add a lot of sour. It adds a little bit, but not that much. So we have 2 options. So my favorite, which I recommend if you're ever curious about, but of course, if it's not accessible, I have a substitute for you, is actually yuzu juice. I love yuzu juice, especially in mocktails, because it provides a lot of dynamic flavor. You can get really sick of like the classic citruses when you're making mocktails. So finding interesting ones to incorporate helps keep the flavor alive. And then a substitution for that is lime juice. Lime juice can work as well, but particularly I love yuzu because of the reawakening spiritual rejuvenation properties of it. In a lot of Eastern traditions, or particularly in Japan, historically would have been used, in like winter solstice baths and things like that. And so I think perfectly at this time, right, the first new moon of 2026, it's perfect for thinking of entering into this year. And then we also have, of course, pineapple. That's essential for a Colada, adding a bit of that, some of that jovial hope energy. Now, let me just check really quickly, make sure that I'm not missing any comments. Where's my Instagram page? Okay, Morgana says we're still here on Instagram. Thank you. I'm like, you should see how many screens I have open now trying to figure this all out. But and then a really cool piece. So if you saw the drink recipe, right, you're like, none of those ingredients seem like purple, right? Like, what's going on with this purple, luscious purple drink. Well, so an optional, and I made it optional just because of different accessibility purposes, is actually butterfly pea flower ice cubes. So what you do is you make a butterfly pea flower ice cube or tea, then you freeze it into ice cubes and blend it into like a shaved ice or crush it into like a crushed ice. And the reason is butterfly pea flower gets this really like indigo color, but when it's like added with citric acid, it actually changes it to like a purplish pink color. Obviously depends on like how much you put in. And so I really love it for this recipe of giving this drink this little color transformation piece. And you can even add the citrus last if you want to see that, particularly with the ice, but I just added in all at once because I still think just on its own that purple color is so beautiful. But it's great because butterfly pea flower is great for kind of tuning into that feminine wisdom, intuition, and with that color transformation of just peace through that spiritual transformation. So this is really great for, aligning to our intuitive spiritual side at the new moon coming up, or any new moon really, and embracing finding that inner light again as we step into a new energy for 2026. Now, other ingredients to consider is for the mocktail version that's in the book is non-alcoholic coconut rum. This is optional. I did test all these recipes with and without. I love to use Beckett's. It's so good. I'm going to be using that. Delicious. But if you are not using a non-alcoholic substitute, just know that you might want to double the recipe. I approach my mocktails the same way I do cocktails, is creating more of a refined like layers of flavor. And so I don't like do 12 or 16 ounce drinks just because I'm not making a limeade, I'm not making a lemonade. They're like, mocktail or zero proof cocktail recipes. But of course, if you want more, just double the recipe. So if you're not using a non-alcoholic spirit like Beckett's 27 non-alcoholic coconut rum in this case, decide if you want to double recipe or not. But also, if you want to make a cocktail version, you could also then just add coconut rum. So you've got like a couple of options there. That's the beauty of using non-alcoholic spirits, is they're really versatile. So with that, just a few more things, and then we can get into making the drink recipe. So with the book, I was kind of thinking about all the different people that might approach a book like this, right? And so those of you who know me here on Instagram, right? I love making really intentional drinks. If you read my blogs, I go into more details. I infuse everything with a lot of ritual. But not the average person, maybe they just want to make a intentionally aligned drink recipe, but don't want to go all that deep. And so I was like, what's a way that we can really tune in, that anyone can tune in to the magic of the drink recipe, kind of activate the ingredients or set an intention. So for each recipe, there's 3 optional affirmations to sit by. They're optional. You choose whichever one appeals to you. You can make your own. But really the intention behind this is kind of what you ingest, your body breaks down, right? And so taking a moment, the symbol of the cup, of the element of liquid, nurturing, hydrating our bodies, and reflecting on nurturing our energy with whatever intention we're setting for that drink recipe. So the affirmations to sit by for this recipe, you can choose whichever one resonates, you can make your own, is like the moon waxes from dark to light, the hope within me grows bright. Did I make this rhyme? I guess I did. Sorry. I'm I changed some of these around. Okay, well, I sometimes like to rhyme, but I try and stay away from it because I know it gets cheesy for people. And then there's I embody physical and spiritual renewal. And then last one is I'm attuned to the spiritual intuitive wisdom of my inner moon. So if you're really tuning in for inner guidance, that's a great one. I really like as the moon waxes, because as we're going to be heading to the new moon, setting that intention at the new moon, as the moon waxes from dark to light, the hope, especially for 2026, growing brighter and stuff like that. So if you want to choose an affirmation or create your own, take a moment, tune into that, connect to that energy, and let's get started with the drink recipe. I'm so ready to drink this. It is so delicious. Like I said, I've had it a couple times this week and I was I'm happy I'm making it again. I'll pause for a couple of quick comments really quickly, make sure I'm not missing anything. For the platforms that are not connected to the streaming software. J Love Spooky says, I love your nail polish. It's so gorgeous. Thank you. They're fake. They're like fake nails, which is great because I can reuse them. I just like stick them on, and I wanted to choose something that matched my book. So the purple, which you might not be able to see the book because it's like off screen for the vertical view, but let me just make sure I'm not missing anything else. Where are we? Streaming software, OBS, no more. I don't see any comments there. So, okay. Well, the first ingredient that we're going to add is going to be fresh mint. Oh. And just take, like these ingredients are so tactile, they engage the senses. So really like take a moment to tune into that refreshing energy. I want a little more mint today. This mint's like about to go bad. I'm going to get like the last good pieces out. So I'm just going to add them in. But mint, taking a second to tune into that energy. We think of like mint for refreshment, right? So thinking of with this lunar energy, the upcoming new moon this next weekend, kind of rejuvenating our inner spirit. And so adding that to our cup here. And then we have 2 slices of cucumber. Again, cucumber is associated with the moon. And associated with things like peace, also fertility, but like fertility is just a weird word. And so like abundance, you can take that edge with that. But also just, I think I said peace already, for the moon and a bit of that rejuvenation. You think of those spa days with cucumber. Oh, so good. I love eating cucumber as a snack. Okay, and then let's add agave. So we're doing a 1/3 ounce. If you want to do a little more, I mean, like I said, always make these recipes work for you and your taste preferences. If it's too sour, add more sweetness. If it's too sweet, add more sour. Always start with less, depending if you know what side of the spectrum you lie on, and you can always add more to taste. So let's pour in our agave, give that a second. And this is just like, if you go to the sweetener section of your store, this is just 100% blue agave nectar. They have different agave nectars, and I love, it's just great to add to if you're doing the non-fat yogurt, Greek yogurt stuff. It's like the sweetener I live by. Okay, we're ready to muddle. So you can use, fancy bartending, fancy muddler like this, or you can use the back of the wooden spoon or whatever it is. But really, you just want to break the ingredients down. So we're just going to press down, and you're going to probably hear some weird noises from this muddling, or maybe you won't. I don't know. Let's give this a second here. Oh. Press down. Now I'm at a disadvantage because this is like all the way at the end. So I'm just going to bring it here so I can actually control what I'm doing for a second. But you really want to break down the cucumber. So muddling helps break down these really thick ingredients that otherwise wouldn't properly express themselves when shaken. So we want to get, a good amount of cucumber in here. We want that peace and rejuvenation that it's associated with in magical practices. Okay, our next ingredient is gonna be our ounce of coconut milk. So let me just shake up my jar here. I usually just open up a can, and then I will transfer it to a jar to just keep it longer. So otherwise it goes bad if I don't keep it in a proper container. And again, thinking of the moon, the coconuts associated again in magic with spirituality, inner purification, psychic awareness. So tuning in intuitively. Then we're going to do a 1/4 ounce of grapefruit. The way I approach juicing my grapefruit is really not the most efficient. I might have mentioned this before, but it's taken me a while to realize of online tutorials. As a bartender, you pre-juice everything. And eventually I realized that people thought I was just like buying pre-juice stuff. And I won't lie, I'm a little bit of a snob when it comes to like freshly juicing things. So now I always like freshly juice things when I'm like live streaming or demoing or whatever it is, just to make sure there's not any confusion. But you know, if you do need to like buy pre-juiced stuff, you know, I'm not going to judge you. You don't need to tell me. But freshly juiced is always better. Okay, let me take a second, catch up on any comments. Okay, where is Instagram? Cool. Morgana says, I do love a good rhyme. Good. I'm glad, girl. Me too. There's some people that are like, rhyming poetry. I'm like, poetry is one of those things where it's like rhymes and like a certain poetry like Walt Whitman or Emily Dickinson I would like love, you know? But like I don't know, rhymes, it just like pleases my inner child, which helps connect me more to like my magic. So, but you know, everyone has a preference. But I'm glad you're with me. Okay, so let's add our grapefruit, and also the benefit, if you're a witch, right, or a spiritual person, of freshly juicing is connecting to that energy, right? Because you got all the beautiful essential oils that squeeze out of the top, that just like squirts out when you're squeezing it out, and it's just very refreshing. You've got the fresh energy of the ingredient to connect to, and really, like how I get witchy with no matter what, you know, drink I'm making, if it includes citrus, and I talk about this a bit in my book. I also talk about like ways to like multi-use the ingredients, that way you don't feel as wasteful when you're done juicing it. Is just as I'm squeezing, like thinking out of what I'm cleansing or bringing positivity to, because it's a very like, I'm someone who likes to connect to movement and stuff for like raising energy and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze while thinking about, oh, and it's of course like I said, I should be using something else to squeeze a fruit this big because it just squeezes out everywhere. But there we go. A 1/4 ounce, just a little bit. Like I said, if you're not using the non-alcoholic substitute, you might want to double that. But as you're squeezing, just thinking about like what you're uplifting energy to. And an ounce of our pineapple juice. Pineapple juice is so dangerous. Once I have a can of these open, it's really hard to resist drinking the rest of it. I don't know if anyone else was like me. I was always, especially when I was bartending at the end of a shift, you know, and if there was like leftover, because you always have like leftover sodas, and like sometimes you can put them okay in the fridge. Most of the time you have to toss them out depending on what they are. But I would always drink the pineapple. I just couldn't help myself. So we're going to add an ounce of pineapple just to help add some of that joyful energy. You know, again, finding our inner light as we head into, you know, following the new moon this weekend, heading into 2026. And then the optional, either you can do a 1/4 of lime juice or a 1/4 of yuzu juice. Yuzu juice to me, like I said, I love it, but also because like I get a full bottle like this, lasts me forever. I just keep it in the fridge and it is delicious. Okay. Oh, it's like hard to go wrong with it. It's so good. Okay. And is there anything else? Oh, and then we're going to add an ounce of, you know, your non-alcoholic coconut rum. I think I said you could try tequila too. I can't remember for sure. Gonna add that in. This is so good. Like this, a Colada with Beckett's 27, delicious. Now, before we shake our drink recipe, I have already pre-prepared. Let me see if you can see this. It's sorry, I had it sitting in my little ice container holder here. So it's like a little chilled all over. You can see it matches my nails. the purple or like the blue of the ice, which will become more purple. I already have this pre-prepared. So like I said, if you want to do this extra step, you know, just in advance of making this recipe, you make some butterfly pea flower tea. You can get it online, you know, freeze it in. I usually do like a tablespoon per cup, or you can do a little stronger if you want, of hot water, steep it, like get it nice, deep blue color, freeze it into ice cubes, and then I blend it in my blender because I am lazy. And when you're behind the bar and making crushed ice, you actually use like a bag and a hammer, and it's just a lot of extra time. It's like the worst thing when you have a bunch of other recipes waiting and you're like, have to take a moment to find the freaking bag and the mallet and like make all this crushed ice while like, you know, 5 people are waiting for their drink. Anyway, that's just me. So I love blending it at home because I am not putting that same amount of effort in. But if you are a stickler about that, you can do that. So let's add our ice and shake. And then we'll strain it into this cup. I'll take a moment, double check the chat. J-Love Spooky, where do you get butterfly pea flour? You just get it online. Like honestly, it's more accessible now than you think. So if there's an online store that you order from, you know, like I hate to say it, but like Amazon is one. Sometimes certain herb shops will have it. Or, you know, you can check out, yeah, certain herb shops, who else? Or like tea shops, you know, might have butterfly pea flour. But, you know, it's just nice. I like to get like just pure butterfly pea flour, and then I can do so many fun things with it. It was like one thing I did want to do in the book, but I only had so much room. I was like, let me spend a whole section talking about all the cool ways you can incorporate butterfly pea flour into your recipes, but I'll have to save that for like a bonus or something. Okay, let's go ahead and shake. Let me take this cap off so that way there's room for the air. And I'm going to shake over here. Funny thing, I always put my mic on the left side, but it always becomes weird because I shake with my right, or sorry, let me rephrase that. I always put my mic on the left side, but then I'm aware that I don't want to shake on my left because then it's going to be really loud for you guys. But I actually shake with my left instead of my right. So it always feels weird to shake with my right side to like keep it away from the mic. So I never really realized that like I shook so much with my left side. Anyway, that's like nothing important. Just a side note, weird tangent. Okay, so let's go ahead and shake. And you really want to get a firm shake because you want that cucumber to really break apart in there. Beautiful. Oh, I'm already so thirsty for this. Oh my God. Okay, and if you have a fine mesh strainer, if you want to strain out all the mint pieces, you can. Since this is going over shaved ice, like, it's going to be unlikely that all that stuff gets in there. Beautiful. Right to the top. And then we're just going to give it a second to activate. Let me pop over. Alex says Magic Hour has butterfly tea. Yeah, I know they have some really good blended butterfly pea flower teas. I wonder if they have, if they have pure, you know, because like Star Wars Botanicals, or who is it? Star Wars Botanicals, the other one, Mountain Rose Herbs, but like, you know, they, tend to have herbs. Skip and Piper, what's the name of this mocktail? This is Moon Goddess Colada. This is from my book, Mystical Mocktails. Let me pop it open here, if you can see it. Okay, now let's give this a little twist. And per usual, I forget I need a little stir for this, but I just want to get a little bit of that color change going. So, oh, I can't stir because it's all frozen. Gosh darn it. Well, anyway, You can hopefully see a little bit of the purple color. It's just going to take a second as the ice melts. As the ice melts into the recipe, it will turn it a bit of that purple color. But I, of course, got like I got a weird shaped cup, so like this isn't going to stir. I didn't set myself, I was like, oh, I want this really cool, like kind of diamond shaped glass. And I didn't think about like, oh, I'm not going to be able to stir it to really get that color shift going. But anyway, hopefully if you're at home, you can do it the proper way. And then let's go ahead and get some mint going here. We're just going to give it a little slap to activate it for garnish. Now, part of the garnish I suggest, of course, like for a pina colada, if you want, you know, fresh pineapple, but I was not about to buy a fresh pineapple just for one little garnish today, so I hope you don't mind that. Let me cut some of these stems off. And if this mint is looking a little sad, that's because it is. Do not... Don't judge me. I didn't want to go to the store to get fresh mint. I wanted to reuse what I had. Hopefully it's not looking so sad on camera, but it's looking sad in front of me. But you know what? It's not bad yet. So use every bit you can get, and then a little bit of cucumber. And let me see how it looks from the front. Just this one little leaf. It's just looking a little sad. And that purple color is starting to come through on the top. So you can see a little bit of that transition. Purple at the top to the cream at the bottom. Let me just check for the comments and we'll give this a sip. And we'll talk about what I'm working on for classes. Skippin' Piper, your book says out of stock on Amazon Canada. Wow. I don't see any of that stuff on my end. I mean, I'm glad. Hopefully it's a good thing. But there's been an interesting issue because of when the book came out. It it was like this weird holiday period where a lot of people got their books late. So like, I don't know if it's just a delivery issue to Canada or if it's just like out of stock. I mean, hopefully it gets back in stock soon. Where else in Canada I could get it? I don't. Let me ask my publisher tomorrow. I have to connect with them anyway. But let me see. This drink is almost off screen here, so let me push it more to the center. So I'll try and ask them and get back to you about that. If you just send me a DM, I'll try and remember to look that up. Okay, let's give this a sip, because they should have that information. And what I love about garnishes, they just greet the nose first thing. So it's like, oh my God, I love this drink so much. So good. Sorry. Anyway, quick thing I want to tell you guys before we hop off. Hopefully that was like quick and easy. But I am working on making some classes. So let me see here. I have a whole new screen for this, but because this whole thing got kind of messed up, I don't think it's going to show up properly on Instagram. So let me see if it will. I'm going to have another sip while I wait. Yeah, it's not popping up correctly on Instagram, so I apologize for you guys watching. But I'll try and like stick to the side that you can still see me, hopefully. Let's see, pop this up here so I can see what I'm talking about. So yeah, so basically what I'm doing is I wanted to create some classes. So I'll be announcing this soon in my Patreon, but for the Magical Mixologist tier, we're going to be doing a monthly class. And some of these are going to be seasonal, but we're also going to be doing bonus classes. So getting into the classes, January, end of this month, we're going to do an in bulk or Candlemas mixology class. And these will include like where it's going to be an hour and a half to 2.5 hours There's going to be PDFs. We're going to talk about like the energy of the day. We're going to talk about ingredients. We're going to go through a couple of recipes together, and there's going to be an aligned ritual. And then February, we're going to do love potions or Valentine's. We're going to do Ostara, spring equinox in March, then Beltane in April. And in May, we're going to do a summer solstice recipe. There's also going to be bonus classes that I'm going to be throwing around. These are classes that I've like wanted to do for a while, but I just have not gotten to them. So I'm going to like throw in random modules in addition to the monthly class. So we're going to start doing my magical mixology basics, which I've been wanting to do forever, where we're going to deep dive, into, what you need to know to make magical drink recipes. Then we're going to do magical mocktails and then moon mixology. And this will be out in the next couple of months. And then I'm also incorporating monthly moon mixology rituals. If you've been following me for a while, like I started off doing these lunar recipes. And so I really love choosing recipes, particularly for the moon. So I wanted to like do little rituals together. So we're going to be doing these rituals for February. For the new moon, we are going to be doing a snow moon and in bulk moon in the Leo drink and ritual. And actually, basically, what the drink rituals include is there's a guided discussion and reflection per my knowledge. And then we'll do a little bit of meditation. Sometimes meditation will be incorporated into the drink recipe. It kind of just depends on what the drink recipe is. Then we're going to magically make a drink recipe that's aligned to that lunar energy together. And then we'll end with some kind of ritual addition. This is going to depend on what the drink is. Sometimes there'll be like a little apple spell. Sometimes there'll be like, using crystals or whatever it is. It'll just depend on what the recipe and the lunar energy is. So we're going to do the snow moon and in bulk moon mixology ritual in Leo, early February. March, it's going to be lunar eclipse in Virgo, which I'll have a new recipe for. So that will be exciting. Then pink moon in Libra for April. And then in May, it will be Beltane and the flower moon in Scorpio. So I'm excited for those things, just to dive deeper with you guys, because I've been wanting to do it for a while, and hopefully you'll let me just throw all this knowledge at you. But other than that, we're going to be doing weekly live streams. So we'll do our Mocktail Monday, and starting next week, we'll do, things maybe not from my books. Of course, we can always do recipes from my books, but I also want to try different non-alcoholic spirits and recipes that other people's have created. So we'll take, requests and stuff for that. And then maybe we'll do a second live stream each week with a recipe from my blog that will have both cocktail and mocktail options, depending on what the recipe is. So lots of exciting things. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Jay loves spooky. The drink looks so yummy. And, let me change you guys can't see me. Sorry. It was like Instagram was like supposed to be connected properly. I have like a specific vertical screen for Instagram, but like it just did not connect, so I had to reconnect everything. Drink looks so yummy, and I know I love it. It's so good. It's just and it's good with the yuzu or the lime. So get the ingredients, make it this weekend. You'll love it. Morgana. It's so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here with me. Unless there's any other questions, I'll let you go for our first Mocktail Monday. But I'm thinking next week, depending on what requests come in, I have got a couple of spirits that I want to try. Maybe we'll try one spirit and then make 3 different recipes with it or something. And I'll try and like figure out a consistent time. But I hope you all have a lovely day, a lovely evening, a lovely start to your week, and happy new moon if I don't see you before then.